Hi everybody. Today I'm going to make it's chicken parm pizza. Now it's going to be without any crust. The crust is going to be the chicken and it's very keto friendly, very low carb. There's only very little bit of carbs in this, with the cheese and part of the tiny bit of breading you put in, just a tiny bit. But for the most part, this is probably one of the most healthy pizzas you could have if you're trying to be keto friendly. So I'm going to show you the ingredients and then I'm going to start making things. All right. First of the ingredients, of course, is chicken. As you can see, this is some chicken I have to chop up. This is thin chicken, so I'll chop it up and then it has to actually be um, like put into a food processor. But you have to cut it up in pieces so that it's easier to go in the processor. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just cutting it up. All right. You guys be able to see. So I'm just cutting up. Right. When these are all cut, they're going to go into the food processor that I have over here. Because it has to be like almost, I don't want to say mush, but it kind of has to be mush. So that it'll actually turn into your breadcrumb. I mean, your crust. Okay. Looks like there's another one. Got to make sure you have enough meat. This is all thinly sliced chicken breast, no bone, none of that on there. There's no bone. That's too much work for this kind of meal. You definitely don't want to get the bone in. You want to get the already deboned chicken. Just make sure it's defrosted and cut, of course, which is this part. And we're almost done cutting all our chicken. And if you see parts that have any fat, you don't need to keep that part into your meal because you don't want that anyway. It's not really going to be conducive to good crust. So one more little piece to cut up, and then we'll put it in the processor. Have the processor plugged in. Just have to put things in here. So I'm going to chicken in here. And as it comes out, as I get it all ground up, it's going to come out of here. More in there because it's a small little processor that serves the purpose. Okay, put some more in here. Okay, so again, putting all the meat in here. Should be pretty well processed, or I should say pretty well smushed. You won't need this after that. You just need to have it for this process. Then you need, once you have the meat process, wash my hands real quick. The next thing you're going to need for the chicken, first I'm going to show you what it looks like. That's all. That's when it's all crushed up, when it's all, you know, mooshed, if you will. Then you're going to add some ingredients. So the next set of ingredients is going to be first, it's going to be some Italian seasoning. Just a few dashes, just enough for taste, because remember, this is going to be a chicken parmesan. So then you have some garlic powder. Again, some dashes, not too much, just enough for taste. Then you have 2 eggs. This is just going to help you with the breading sticking to it, the little bit of breading that will be in there. Okay, so now you can see you have your eggs, you have your garlic powder and your Italian seasoning and your meat. Next thing you're going to put in there is just a tiny bit, right, since you're doing Parmesan, a little bit of the shredded Parmesan in with the mix. Okay, it gives it that the texture, so just a little bit, right, just a covering. The rest is going to be going on top when we get to that part. All right, and then you're going to put a little bit of olive oil on your platter here, where it's all going to go, where everything's going to go, the bread, the pizza bread, whatever you call it. And then last but not least, some breadcrumbs. Not too many, just enough for it to mix together. And then I'm going to put on, I'm going to actually use my little spoon to smush it so it mixes well. Use my wooden spoon. So as you can say, mixing it up. It's going to get to the point where it's completely mixed so that it'll be easy to turn it into a nice, I guess you could say, the crust based. I don't want to say bread because it's really not a lot of bread, so it's a crust based. Okay, I'm going to put a tiny bit more breadcrumbs, just a tiny bit, because we want it to be moist, but not so moist that it does like break apart. So. It's just about all mixed. Then it's going to go into, well, I should say, onto the oiled pan that we have here. But it's going to be like you're rolling it out like a dough, but not really rolling it. You're going to just flatten it like a big patty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all this on here. And then I'm going to flatten it out just like a regular patty. Except it's going to be a nice round patty. I'm going to make it, I want it to be pretty low. I'll show you when I'm done completely flattening it, what it will look like. But we want it to have a little bit of that crust part at the end. So flat but the crust, I should say, like the part where you usually would hold on to it, the edge of the crust, you can kind of bend that up a little bit. But the other part needs to be as flat as possible. Just put the ends up a little bit so it looks a little bit. And yes, my hands are washed. For anybody who has phobias of people not washing their hands, I always wash my hands before I make something like this. Especially because you might share with company. You don't want somebody that's sick to give you stuff. So, I think I'm going to wash my hands and then I'll show you what it looks like now that it's all spread out. And then we're going to be putting that in the oven to bake before I put anything else on it. Because that has to be baked all the way. And we'll pause the video while it's baking. This, when it's all flat, see, it already looks pretty, right? It looks pretty nice already, but it's going to look even better once it's out of the oven. So we're gonna put this in the oven since it's ready to go in to cook. I'm gonna put it in there. I would say for 20. We're gonna put it in there for about 20 minutes, right? And when it's completely, finished, either 20 minutes or 30 minutes, I would say 20 minutes to start. Then I'm gonna bring it back out and I'll show you the ingredients we're putting on the top for this chicken Parmesan pizza. All right, I'm gonna pause you guys for the moment. All right, everybody, so this is what the bread looks like, slash chicken, right? What it looks like. I did add a little something in here. I added a Weber's garlic Parmesan, just a little sprinkle on top so you can actually see that there's just a tiny bit of it that was on top right before it finished. And now I'm going to put on my toppings. So I made my own marinara. I didn't want to use anybody else's but my own. So this is my own marinara. There's no labels on it. We'll call it the Pisano marinara because it's my sauce. All right. So we're going to put some of this on here. I want to make sure you guys can see. Make sure most people want some sauce. I mean, even when you do Parmesan, right, you gotta have sauce. So just spread it out. Just like you see the pizzas in the movies, right? They got the sauce, and then they gotta add the cheese. Once you get the sauce, you add the cheese. All right. So it's not gonna be just mozzarella. Gonna be Parmesan, because what did I say this was? A chicken Parmesan pizza. So we're gonna have some Parmesan. Alright, we got a little, not too much, but just enough. And then we top it off with some mozzarella. Make sure it covers everything. Just want to remind you guys, one of the things that people don't realize about YouTube videos is if you like something and you really like what I'm doing, you like the recipes, and then you subscribe, you don't pay anything to subscribe. It just means that next time I do a video, it'll show up on your screen. And if anything, it just it's like giving me a follower, letting me know that there's somebody that likes the recipes and they want the recipes to keep coming, So that's all it is. Now, I put the whole bag, this was about an 8-ounce bag of mozzarella. So, just an 8-ounce bag, and then I'm just going to top it off with just a little bit more of the Parmesan, since it's supposed to be chicken Parmesan pizza. Put just a little bit more. And last but not least, since my daughter happens to like pepperoni, I'll put some pepperonis on there. You choose how much you want. So I'm just going to put it like, one per section. Don't want to go too crazy, because I've never heard of chicken Parmesan with pepperoni, but I'm about to. Once this comes out, it's going to be so tasty. The last time I made this was so long ago, and I did it a little different back then. But this has been something that I always loved making. And it looks so cute, doesn't it, guys? As you can see, it's really cool looking. All right, so I'm going to put one more piece of pepperoni, and then I'm going to put it back in the oven. And then I'll come back to you guys in a few minutes. One more piece of pepperoni there. And one more piece of pepperoni here. All right. Remember, hit like and subscribe if you're liking this. Hold 1 second. I'll be right back. All right, everybody. This is our finished product, okay? This is our finished product. Do you see? Looks so yummy, doesn't it? I'm going to cut it up for you, too, and let you see how nice and juicy it is. And it's so nice and juicy. You barely have to, you cut into it just enough. Now, if you like your bread a little, or you should say your crust, just a tiny bit more crispy, just like I just cut it up. I can put it right back in the oven a little longer if that's necessary, but this is what our finished product will look like. See? So yummy. All right, guys. Enjoy. Don't forget, like and subscribe.